Hey everyone, today we're discussing every killer's biggest strength and weakness. Let's get started. Trapper has one of the best abilities for zoning survivors, able to lay traps and completely deny loops. His main weakness is just like everything else. He's a product of his time, and to be quite honest, super outdated, even with the changes he's had over the years. His kit is small, and he's technically simple, and it works against him for the most part. If I had to specify, I would say he is still very weak in the early game, having to set up traps before he can really apply pressure. Wraith's main positive is his ability to traverse the map silently, and quickly, with his power also doubling up to be effective in chase. His biggest weakness is that his kit is so simple. Simpler, I would argue, than Trapper's, and in a similar way, the game has kind of outgrown a power this straightforward. You can sometimes feel helpless by how little you have at your disposal. Hillbilly's main strength is his all-in-one power with his chainsaw. It's a map traversal tool, a downing tool, and a method of pressure in and out of chase. His main weakness, I would say, is his long stuns and cooldowns. This includes his chainsaw overheat, but also things like colliding into objects or ending a sprint. These small cooldowns make a lot of difference. Nurse's main strength is her ability to ignore the regular rules of the trial, able to phase through loops and vaults instantly with her blinks. Her weakness is probably bigger maps, I would say. The bigger maps are simply harder to traverse, and characters such as Blight can be stronger than her on maps like these. Shape's main strength is his add-ons, which turn an average power into something quite strong. His weakness is his slow early game, and the requirement for him to stalk survivors, which can be tricky on certain maps, and against particularly aware teams, especially as his tier 3 power doesn't really last that long. Hag's biggest strength is her crazy ability to hold down areas. I think she might be the strongest character when it comes to holding down an area, particularly strong in a 3-gen. Her weakness is maybe something like her fairly small teleport range, which can be quite restrictive and force you to play in a tighter area. Doctor's main strength is his unique madness mechanic, which can shut down loops, provide information, and stop people from doing things like flashlight saving at max madness. It's a very effective team disruptor. His weakness, I would say, is that his power is quite easy to avoid, simply running away from him. Even his wider shock has a pretty clear indication. The timing of the shocks can also be a struggle, having to time them very specifically to block actions. Huntress's main strength is her ability to instantly apply damage from range. It's quite a straightforward strength, but it's true, and she's really the only killer who can do it. Her greatest weakness is maybe her lullaby. Although it can be helpful, the lullaby also indicates her presence far before she reaches you, and it can't be removed with undetectable perks or add-ons. Bubba's main strength is his ability to insta-down multiple people at a time with his chainsaw sweep. It's what makes him such an effective camper. Bubba's biggest weakness, I would actually say, is the maps. Many maps, particularly newer ones, have oddly shaped loops and some tricky to maneuver geometry, which is a pain for his chainsaw, which has a rather large hitbox with its sweeping motion. Nightmare's main strength, I think, has pretty much always been the dream world. It gives him stealth and passive pressure, with survivors having to be on alert. His weakness is his lack of options really for his main chase power. His snares are really weak now, and fake pallets are fun and can work, but are generally not that effective. Pig's clear strength is her built-in slowdown that she gets with her power. Reverse bear traps allow for instant slowdown, forcing survivors to get rid of the trap if they wish to progress, with them being limited by a literal timer. Her weakness is her lack of chase ability, I would say. She's often left to basic chases, and her ambush attack is hit and miss and easily avoidable. Clown's main strength is how strong his bottles are. Despite his overall kit not being that effective, the bottles themselves and their ability to stun, distort, and slow survivors is incredibly good, and can often force pallet drops. His weakness is that he has nothing else, aside his yellow bottles, which have ridiculously niche application. Spirit's main strength is still her ability to go invisible whilst in chase, and appear out of nowhere. Her power is still great. Her main weakness, I would say, is her lack of ability to pressure multiple people at a time, game. She's still very much a one-on-one killer, and can't handle two people at once really. With her counterplay in the game, this is one of her clearest weaknesses now, I think. Legion's main strength is a basic one, but their ability to injure a whole team extremely efficiently, and how they can also locate survivors with this, is probably their biggest strength. Their weakness is the subsequent lack of ability to act on this, essentially being reduced to an M1 killer, using their power to further slow, or for occasional loot plays. Their insta-down barely ever comes into play, and their power can be countered with survivors spreading out. Plague's main strength is her ability to negate all aspects of healing extremely easily. Not only can she injure a team quickly, but she can cancel out the entire healing aspect of gameplay with her power, just with its existence. It also acts as a great locator tool, making the survivors louder. Her main weakness I would identify as the awkward placement of her cleansing pools. If survivors play well, you'll have to go out of your way to get your power, which can be a huge time sink. That may seem petty, but I really think for a largely balanced killer, it's one of her biggest weaknesses. I don't know, maybe something else like how her projectile works. The vomit can be quite tricky to control, and can sometimes be inconsistent with how it hits. Ghostface's greatest strength I think is his unique movement as a stealth killer. Being able to crouch, lean, and do so whilst using your power is really nice. His main weakness I'm going to say is his reveal mechanic, which has always felt quite inconsistent. It can work in your favour, but this inconsistency I think is more of a weakness, making him unpredictable to play at times. Demogorgon's strength is its incredibly simple but effective ability with Shred. Shred is basically just a longer and quicker basic attack, and it's great for that. Maybe in a wider sense, it's solid overall kit, which is one of the most balanced in the game. Its weakness is maybe in the form of portals, which can be hard to consistently keep up, and can be broken fairly easily by survivors. Oni's greatest strength is his powered up mode, where he can run fast, slide off objects, and insta-down. It's an insane combo, and super powerful. His weakness is his reliance on blood, which can often be quite tough to find, particularly for teams who heal close to the edges of the map. Despite being able to acquire it yourself, you're still very much reliant on the survivors not healing, and making enough mistakes for you to power up. Deathslinger's main strength is his very oppressive one-on-one chase, or his 1v1. He can shut down loops easily with his spear gun, and get very precise angles, even on the clunkier or tougher loops. His main weakness is his lack of map control, with his power solely residing in his spear gun. It's entirely down to yourself and your perks to apply pressure actively and always. Also his add-ons, they are dreadful and really need a buff. Executioner's best asset is still his ability to bypass perks like Decisive Strike and Unbreakable with his cages. His cages also allow for faster and more efficient hooking. They are just great as an asset. His weakness I would say is still his clunky M2, which has clear indicators of use and can be dodged fairly easily. It's still a decent zoning tool though. Blight's clearest strength is his ability to maneuver almost any obstacle to reach a survivor. Many techs have been developed for him, and his movement is both fast and precise, allowing crazy things to be done. His weakness I would say is still probably his collision on some maps. Some objects you will slide off, and it won't always be beneficial. Twins' main strength is also kind of simple I think. They're the only killers who can be in two places at once, one able to be a great locator of survivors, and the other a regular killer. Their weakness is still their cooldowns, they have way too many. It feels awful still to switch between the two, especially after a down. Trickster's main strength, a bit like Slinger, is his one-on-one chase, where he can be very scary to go against, with him able to easily damage around pallets and vaults. His weakness I would maybe say is his knife limit, which can actually be quite restrictive, particularly when trying to handle multiple people. Nemesis's main strength is his tentacle, and just how oppressive it can be in chase, able to break pallets on the go, and keep a continuous push forward. It's kind of insane, and one of the best pallet destruction tools available. His weakness is kind of clear I think, with the zombies still being pretty buggy I find, and just really inconsistent from game to game. Cenobite's main strength is his chain hunt, That part of his power is absolutely busted, and if activated can be chained easily for near unlimited pressure, and can often completely halt the game to a standstill. His main weakness is his self-guided chain shot, which is tricky to use and not always that effective in chase, due to its awkwardness and how survivors can counter it easily with its slow movement and clear indicators of use. Artist's main strength is her ability to detect survivors anywhere on the map, from almost any point. Firing her crows, you can scan gens on the other end of the map, and even damage if you're extremely good at prediction. Her weakness is mainly that her power can be easily avoided by just running away. Although less effective now, it's still a clear weakness. Onryō's greatest strength is genuinely her height, I think. It's a unique thing as a stealth killer that allows her to actually be a lot sneakier when chasing around loops and not losing any speed, with her able to mind game far easier, particularly when you are demanifested. Her weakness, I would say, is her condemned mechanic, which is still really weak and never progresses much. Dredge's main strength, a bit like Freddy's Dreamworld, is Nightfall, which I think is actually really powerful. It's extremely dark for survivors, and still very clear for you as the killer, and I found it makes survivors play in a far more reserved way, so it acts almost like a game slowdown too. Its biggest weakness, I think, is the fact that its power revolves around lockers. It can be a benefit at times, but it's also a clear restriction, with them appearing randomly throughout the trials, and often in undesirable locations, made worse too by the fact that they can be locked. The teleport is great, but the method is Mastermind is a killer with a uniquely large terror radius at 40 meters. This is amazing, and is incredibly strong, especially on smaller maps, with terror radius based perks. His main downside is just how easily you can get rid of the infection, and the amount of times you can do so. It makes the whole thing a lot less scary, and often never reaches the max amount. Alright, well that's gonna do it. I do hope you enjoyed, and be sure to drop your thoughts on the greatest strength and weakness of the killers down below. Okay, bye!